It's all-out war at the largest oil refinery in Iraq. Firefights, airstrikes, and a scorched earth strategy. Yes, that means ISIS is burning everything in sight. So what is President Obama prepared to do to combat ISIS in Iraq? Well, according to the White House press secretary Josh Earnest, the United States is prepared to train and equip Iraqi forces. But, and this is the headline from what Earnest said, the U.S. will not be responsible for securing the security situation inside Iraq or doing for the Iraqi people what they must do for themselves. And Congressman Lee Zeldin joins us. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Greta.
Do you agree with what the president's position is as said through his press secretary, Josh Earnest?
Well, the president's strategy has to evolve if we want to actually annihilate the threat. I mean, he's putting together a strategy that might take out some of the bad guys, take out some of their command and control and logistics, but it's not going to eliminate ISIS. I mean, we're relying on Iraqi military and law enforcement to finish the job on the ground. For the most part, a lot of them don't even show up to work. Over in Syria, you have Syrian rebels we're relying on to take out ISIS. Many of them are they're looking at trying to take out Assad, not fight ISIS. So, it doesn't require an occupation. We don't need an enduring ground operation. But as we saw 2 weeks ago, when we successfully used Delta Force, we have Army Rangers, Navy SEALs, Green Berets, Marines. They are capable of operating at night under the cover of darkness for a well-executed, well-planned mission to take out high-value targets and capture actionable intelligence. We're very good at it. And I should add that the president is saying to the American people that there are no boots on the ground. Right now, we have thousands of troops on the ground. There's a two-star general in charge of them. And we're seeing that Delta Force is actually pulling off missions. So we need to be honest with the American people. That's what the White House spokesperson should be doing.
Why is he saying no boots on the ground if you're saying they're boots on the ground? Does he define it differently?
The president is saying, the president's saying no boots on the ground because he's caring more about his own domestic politics than telling the American people what needs to be said to actually eliminate the threat. The American people want to hear, they understand that if we don't eliminate the threat overseas, that we'll be facing it more and more here at home. So the president says no boots on the ground. The American people say, oh, that's great. But you know what? Then you find out that thousands of troops are over there. They're wearing a uniform, carrying rifles, wearing boots on the ground. And then stories come out where the Delta Force successfully takes out Saif, captures his wife to find out what she has to say, captures actionable intelligence. The president should be proud, should be praising Delta Force and saying this is a positive improvement. Furthermore, the president, through rules of engagement that are coming down through the Secretary of Defense, we're tying the hands behind that two-star general. We're hearing from pilots who are upset because they can't take out ISIS threat on the ground, and they have to live with the fact that maybe that ISIS threat is then taking out friendlies after that because their hands were tied. So again, the president's approach must evolve if we want to actually eliminate ISIS.
All right, I know the argument in favor of national security is that we act when it's in terms of national security. Let me turn to another question, and I want to know where you fall on this one. Moral imperative. I mean, when does that require some sort of involvement with us? Because we have a terrible refugee situation. More than 3 million Iraqis are displaced. We had 500 people killed in Ramadi in a weekend when ISIS moved in. Does that factor into any of our discussion, or are we only looking to national security?
Well, the moral imperative only further solidifies the legitimacy of the actions that we need to be taking. You can easily have the moral high ground when you talk about what is happening to the Christians and Yazidis and these religions being targeted, women being murdered because they won't change their religion, they're being raped, children being beheaded. The legitimacy and moral high ground is there. And again, if the president is coming clean to the American public and saying this is what we need to do, utilizing special operations, the fact of the matter is he obviously gets it if the trigger is being pulled at the Secretary of Defense level. And the moral imperative point that you bring up only adds more legitimacy to our effort.
All right, where's Iran in this fix? What are they doing?
Well, Iran is filling a void and helping to target ISIS. A lot of people don't realize that Iran and ISIS are battling for who's going to be the leader of waging global jihad. Iran is assisting Iraqis with the effort to try to take back Tikrit, as we saw just a couple weeks ago. So this is another example that we see in the Middle East and around the world, that when America doesn't lead, and the world needs America to lead, and that is one of the great things about being this great, free, exceptional nation and the leader of the free world, when the president stepped up and says, I want to be the president of the United States, I want to be the commander-in-chief, he ends up being the leader of the free world. And Iran ends up filling that vacuum, and they're getting involved in the effort to target ISIS.
Are we partnering with Iran to fight ISIS, or are we letting Iran do it themselves with the Shiite population?
Well, in Iraq, there is this unholy alliance that's created when both the Iranians and the U.S. are part of an effort to try to fight back ISIS. You know, Iran is also sending money to help fund Hezbollah. So over in Syria, where you have Syrian rebels, the president's strategy is that the Syrian rebels are going to be our best bet to be able to take back territory controlled by ISIS. Now, Syrian rebels, when they're fighting Assad, Assad's teaming up with Hezbollah, financed by Iran. And obviously what we're seeing right now in Yemen with the Houthis and the Syrians and the Iranians targeting the United States and what was a democratically backed government, as you go from one country to the next, Iran's not our friend. It is one of the world's largest state sponsors of terrorism, successfully working to overthrow foreign governments, unjustly imprisoning United States citizens, developing ICBMs, chanting death to America. The Iranians are not our friends.
Indeed, they are not.